Hi Gemini, welcome to your week ahead Taroscope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy damn birthday to you. I hope you have a wonderful solar return. Remember to fill the day of your birthday with a little bit of everything that you want the entire year ahead to have in it for you. I wish you all of the best, and make sure you celebrate like the superstar that you are. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So, before we start, I would like to I've already done that bit, Raf. For your key to the week, I just want to say as well, there are some changes coming into the Radiant Reality sphere. So for those of you already in the Radiant Nation, I just want to say thank you so much for all of your support. Don't worry, I have listened. I know you guys didn't like the fortnightlies, which, to be completely honest with you, I personally thought was a brilliant idea. I thought everyone was going to love it, but they hated it, so it is what it is, right? We live, we learn, and ultimately I am co-creating this space with you guys, right? So your feedback is really important to me, but I also need to keep it funky and fresh for myself so that I can continue to give you guys the best. And it's really important that I am able to change it up from time to time. So that's what I'm going to do, and hopefully you are going to love the new stuff that I have in store for you. So stay tuned. All right, for your oh gosh, come on, brain. Key to the week. You have the Tower card, right? So suddenly everyone's like, clutch my pearls. No, don't worry, right? It just means that in all of these different areas this week, you are going to have a shake up, right? Whatever you have known as the status quo, whatever has been ticking over is probably not going to tick no more, right? Things are changing, things are shifting, whether you want them to or not. A big part of this will be because Jupiter is now in the sign of Gemini. This is you. You are being lit up. You are being expanded. You and your presence out in the world are being shifted in some way, shape, or form. This is great because it means that in some regard you get to be put on the map. Use this to your advantage, but remember, Jupiter is a planet that is, everyone talks about it being like, oh, it's Father Christmas of the zodiac and all the rest of it. Yeah, it's got that kind of energy to it, but it is ultimately a planet that is all about the future. It's all about cohesive building for the future. It's about what is next. Jupiter is a planet of the future, right? So you got to be thinking about what comes next as opposed to what has been. Maybe, just maybe, this is a part of what these changes are, that are coming in. For your actions and options, you've got the Nine of Swords. Okay, I'm going to be really honest with you and keep, not that, when am I ever not, right? Sometimes a little too honest. Although probably not as much as Gemini, right? I love you guys, but there are times where you're like, ooh, right in the gooey bag. Okay. For I guess, oh, right, where to bring it back to a serious moment. This week, your mind is going to be changed because your mind is going to be blown. You're going to have a really deep, potentially very profound realization this week that is going to change a lot. It's going to see you really kind of come to understand yourself and your life path in a very different way. Right now, that's the beauty in this. The challenge in this, with the Nine of Swords, it can represent despair, right? And the Tower card is a part of what we call the dark night of the soul. And when something in our world profoundly shifts or changes, or we have a realization, it can really throw us for a loop. And so what this means is something that you learn probably about yourself or some avenue that you take this week, it gets you to see things in a really different way. In the long run, this is going to be great for you because you're breaking out of the Tower, your own mental prison, the Nine of Swords, right? So there's something here. It's not that you or your psyche is breaking or that you're losing your mind. It's not any of that. It's just that you realize something about yourself or your life path and you're like, well, fuck. Now that I know this, I can't unknow it. And so it prompts the kind of change that is likely to be life-changing. Now, if this was the Fool, I would say you probably won't even notice what this is. It will occur to you later on. Because it's the Tower, you will know immediately. There's no getting around this, and this is probably going to happen on Wednesday. All right, so watch out for that. So, when it comes to the options that are available to you with the Nine of Swords, you've got an option to snap yourself out of some kind of mental funk. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Page of Swords. Okay, right, so straight away, what do we see here? We've got the Tower card. That's Uranus energy / Mars energy. You've got the Nine of Swords, the Page of Swords. You're all up in here. Right? That's where your sign tends to do its best work. It's where you kind of live as an air sign. However, that might not necessarily be the best space for you at this time. Either which way, you're being broken out of it, right? Now, in terms of your communications with the Page of Swords, if you find yourself unable to articulate something in the right way, say nothing. This is one of those weeks where it's like, you know what? It's still new, it's still fresh, it's still kind of raw, it's still a little bit sort of, you know what? Let me just keep it to myself, right? It's not time to share this just yet. Now, in terms of your studies or some form of academia, Page of Swords with the Nine of Swords, that gives you 10, right? The 10 of Swords is endings, completions, culminations. It's really interesting because Taurus had this same energy, but with different cards, right? So there's something coming to an end this week. Personally, I feel like this might be an interruption. I'm getting a feeling that on the wider world stage, we're going to see something within the educational system or sphere either presented or breaks down, and it's going to cause a lot of ruffled feathers, right? When this happens, I think everyone's going to be like, sharp intake of breath. Now, what I will also say to you with this Page of Swords, for those of you that are employed by somebody else, it is possible that a new contract is presented this week, like, oh, your job role or your job title is changing, you know, we're going to be shifting your job specification and all the rest of it. If that is the case, make damn sure that it comes with a pay rise as well, because it looks to me like they're trying to dissolve your position and give you more work, but without giving you any more money. We're not here for that, all right? For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, people that are, you know, self-employed in any regard, it's possible that there could be a breakdown in communication, but it is also possible that you could take on, quite frankly, a client or some form of business that is way more hassle than it's worth. If you're a freelancer or anything like that, just be very selective about the contracts that you take on from here on in. And if you are a business owner, whatever clients are coming in over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks, vet them to within an inch of their lives so that you know that it's not going to become a problem later down the line. And the reason I say this is, it looks like you want to do, maybe not a good deed, but it's like you want the business. And so it's almost like you're ignoring some of the red flags around the fact that this person isn't going to uphold their end of the bargain. I don't think the money will be the problem, right? Especially if you're like a service-based, you know, solopreneur, etc. It's like like in my work, when I'm doing energy work especially, right? I need the client to do their stuff, right? If you don't do what I'm asking you to do, you're not going to get the results. I need you to do your part in this for this process to work for both of us. And I gotta say, like, if you're in anything like this, just make sure you're vetting them this week. When it comes to those of you that are retired and no longer working, when it comes to the familial ties, this is potentially, if you've got children, this may be your own children. It could also be like children of a family member. And there's some kind of big revelation that comes up. You know, it could be anything from a coming out right through to, you know, well, I'm 16 and my boyfriend is 32. There's a few things we need to talk about, right? Right off the bat. Do you know what I mean? It could be something where you're like, okay, we need a minute to process here, and then, you know, do you know what I mean? I hope it's nothing like that, but just, I gotta be honest, it's the Tower, right? There's no getting around this easily. When it comes to your love and relations, you've got the Star card. Oh, finally some good news. Okay, for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, this bodes very well because your partner is the safe space that pulls you out of the kerfuffle, right? Your significant other is the safe haven that kind of says, okay, yes, the world is crazy, people are nuts, you know, it is what it is. I know you're having a shit time, but you can find safety and refuge here in me, in us. Love this for you. What it also tells me is, so this is a time sequence, when it comes to whatever is shaping up for you this week in terms of your relationship, it will harken back to late January to mid-February of this year. What was going on around that time? Because it looks like something in your relationship is resolving itself around this point. So look back to then. For those of you that are single and looking, you're meeting somebody on a dating app, right? You get a really nice right swipe. But I gotta be honest with you, I think a part of this connection, I personally feel like it's going to be very good, but I think a part of this connection, it's like you might be looking for one thing and they might be like that literal diamond in the rough who is actually looking for something real, something serious, and you might try to just treat it really casual, really brush off and all of that. And they're just like, oh, okay, well, you know what? I thought you were looking for something serious. And they become very uninterested really quickly. And you're like, fuck, what just happened? Like, you know, like, I know I'm a serious dating contender. And it's almost like because you've had so many frogs, you can't really recognize when you actually have found a prince, right? Like this week, there's a chance that you are finding a diamond in the rough. And this tells me that you are going to treat that person like a frog and it's going to turn them right off. And very quickly, maybe this is the realization that you're having, that you're like, well, shit, you know, I've been so messed up by previous relationships and connections, I actually don't recognize when I found something good anymore. This isn't about the fact that you can't trust yourself. It's about you having the realization that your history with partners, with relationships, etc., it's a little skewed. Whose isn't at this point, darling, right? Whose isn't? Okay. There's a chance to salvage it. There's going to be some honest conversation though, right? And this isn't to say that you completely defer to this person like they're holier than thou, but I got to say, it looks like they're about it. You know, they got some real, and yeah, I'm here for it. Before we get into your money and materials, I just want to say the Lunar Lacuna is up and out there. You can sign up. You can pay annually or you can pay month by month. It's completely up to you. It's totally accessible in terms of its pricing. So if you want to check that out, we're talking moon magic, we're talking manifesting, we're talking way more than just intention setting. We're talking energy work, we're talking astrology, we're talking a whole bunch of people coming together at the right time to do the right things. I'm so excited about this. There are 2 videos out there, so the links for those are in the description, so you can check it out. There'll be those little floating things above my head as well, so if you really want to get into it and you want to have a look and you want to sign up, there is links in the description or those little floaty things above my head. It would be absolutely wonderful to have you along, so stay tuned, right? Like if you want to get in on this, trust me, it's going to be a fantastic and phenomenal journey, even if I say so myself. For your money and materials, you've got the Emperor card. Wow. Okay. Look, I don't want to put too much pressure on this, but I will say for a select few of you, it's not guaranteed and it's not for everybody, right? Because if you're already partnered, you're already partnered. For a select few of you, the thing that smacks you between the eyes may very well be someone who could be a potential partner. This might be that you have like a realization where you're like, holy crap, this is my person, right? You might see it before they do, and maybe that's what causes the crisis because you're like, no, I'm not ready for this. Now, when it comes to your money, finances, and resources, the Tower card with the Emperor, this is a potential disruption to your resources. I'm just going to say, if you're watching this at the time that I put it out, draw some cash out just so that you have access to your money just in case. Could be nothing, but just make sure you've got a little stash pot of cash to tide you over should anything happen. Now, another way that this also potentially shows up is the health of an older man in your life. So this could be your father. If you're partnered or married, this could be your significant other. Their health might take a bit of a scary turn this week. I don't see anybody passing away, but it is something that you do want to monitor. Now, when it comes to your physical health and vitality, the Emperor is your head, it's your, you know, your eyes, like this whole sort of general area. Because you've got the Tower card here, my advice would be, if you have anything, you know, like a headache that just won't go away past 2 and 3 days, go and get yourself checked out. I'm not seeing anything super scary here, but I am seeing potentially that your nervous system is so overwhelmed with something this week that it potentially wreaks some havoc. So please look after yourself, go to the doctor, get yourself checked out. At worst, they find nothing. At best, you catch something early. When it comes to your home and environment with the Emperor, it's the electrics of the home this week, and especially because the sun is in your sign. Just anything around, like if you've got sockets and stuff that you've been like, oh yeah, I need to get that replaced, or plugs and all of that stuff, please, please, please do not try to do this yourself. Even if it's something that you've done several times before, this is not the week for it, right? Because of the Tower card. Just get someone in, get an electrician, get someone who is at least well versed in these things to do it, so that it's not you. All right. With that said, all in all, it's a pretty interesting week. So you'll have to let me know how it shapes up in the comments. Take care, and I'll see you soon.